The weight of others' opinions. Why do we care so much about what others think of us? It's a question that has troubled humans for centuries. Picture this. You post a photo online, share an opinion in a group, or wear something bold. Suddenly, a wave of doubt hits. What will people think? Will they approve? This invisible weight of judgment begins to settle on your shoulders, dictating your actions and stealing your peace of mind. But here's the truth. Other people's opinions have nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. The way someone perceives you is shaped by their own insecurities, experiences, and biases, not by your true character or worth. And yet, we continue to let their fleeting judgments hold us hostage. The ancient Stoics understood this struggle well. In a world filled with criticism and unpredictability, they offered a liberating perspective. Focus only on what you can control. Your thoughts, actions, and character, these are within your power. But the opinions of others, they are not. By investing your energy in things outside your control, you surrender your happiness to forces you can never influence. This is why Stoicism remains so relevant today. In a world obsessed with likes, comments, and validation, it's easy to tie your self-worth to what others think of you. But the Stoics remind us of something profound. Self-worth doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within. So why waste time worrying about people who may not even like themselves? Why allow their opinions to dictate your life? As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." By the end of this video, you'll discover how to free yourself from this trap. You'll learn why caring about others' opinions is a losing game, and how adopting a Stoic mindset can transform your life. Let's begin this journey together, exploring the wisdom of the Stoics and embracing the freedom to say, "I don't care if you don't like me. You don't even like yourself." The Stoic mindset on opinions. Imagine walking into a crowded room. Every person you see has their own thoughts, opinions, and judgments. Some might think you're brilliant, others might think you're average, and a few might not care about you at all. Now ask yourself, which of these opinions is the truth? The answer is none. People's opinions aren't a reflection of who you are. They're a reflection of who they are. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, understood this deeply. In his Meditations, he wrote, "We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Think about that for a moment. You are the one living your life, making your decisions, and experiencing your challenges. Yet, somehow, the fleeting judgment of someone else, a person who may know nothing about your struggles, can shape how you feel about yourself. Isn't that absurd? For the Stoics, this obsession with external opinions was seen as a form of slavery. When you let someone else's judgment affect your peace of mind, you hand over control of your happiness to them. Epictetus famously said, "If someone speaks ill of you, don't defend yourself against their accusations. Instead reply, 'You don't know the half of it.'" This wasn't arrogance, it was wisdom. Epictetus understood that opinions are often based on incomplete information or personal bias. Responding or trying to change someone's mind is a waste of energy because their judgment isn't about you, it's about them. The Stoic approach teaches us to focus on what truly matters, our own actions and character. If you know you're living according to your values, then someone else's disapproval shouldn't shake you. As Seneca put it, "What difference does it make, after all, what your position in someone else's mind is, if you miss your own?" When you internalize this mindset, You stop worrying about what others think and start focusing on what you can control. Their opinions become like the weather, something you notice, but don't let dictate your day. In essence, the Stoics believed that true freedom comes from recognizing that other people's judgments are irrelevant to your inner peace. You can't control what they think, but you can control how much power you give their opinions over your life. And when you stop caring about their judgments, you take the first step toward living authentically. So ask yourself, are you living your life for yourself or for the opinions of others? Let the Stoics guide you toward the answer. Why people judge others? Why do people judge others so harshly? The Stoics believed that judgment often reveals more about the person doing the judging than the person being judged. Think about it. When someone criticizes you, is it really about you? Or is it about their insecurities, fears, or need to feel superior? When Epictetus said, "What concerns me is not the way things are, but the way people think things are," he highlighted a profound truth. People view the world not as it is, but as they are. Their judgment is filtered through their experiences, emotions, and biases. It's a reflection of their inner state, not your reality. Let's break this down. 1. Judgment stems from insecurity. People often judge others to compensate for their own shortcomings. For example, someone who feels inadequate in their career might criticize others to deflect attention from their own failures. This isn't about you. It's a defense mechanism to protect their fragile self-esteem. 2. Comparison fuels judgment. Human beings naturally compare themselves to others. This comparison can lead to envy, resentment, or even fear. If someone perceives you as more successful, confident, or talented, they might judge you as a way to bring you down to their level. It's easier for them to criticize you than to confront their own feelings of inadequacy. 3. Projection of personal problems. People often project their struggles onto others. For instance, someone unhappy in their relationships might label others as difficult or unlovable. This projection allows them to externalize their issues rather than addressing the real source of their pain. The Stoics understood this deeply and taught us not to take these judgments personally. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is crucial when facing criticism. The opinions of others are outside your control, so why let them disrupt your inner peace? When someone judges you, remember, their words say more about their state of mind than they do about your character. Here's a practical way to apply this. Next time someone judges you, pause and ask yourself, what might this say about them? Recognizing the source of their judgment can help you detach emotionally and view the situation with clarity. When you stop personalizing others' judgments, you free yourself from their influence. Instead of letting their insecurities shape your self-perception, you can focus on living authentically, guided by your own values. Remember, as the Stoics would say, other people's judgment is just noise. It only becomes significant if you choose to listen. You can't please everyone. Trying to please everyone is like chasing the wind. No matter how hard you try, it's impossible to catch. The Stoics recognized this truth centuries ago, and their teachings remain profoundly relevant today. People's opinions are as varied as their personalities, and expecting universal approval is a recipe for endless frustration. Seneca once wrote, "I do not know whether I shall make progress, but if I shall have the will to make it, that of itself is proof that I shall find fault with all that pleases the crowd." This quote reminds us that the crowd is fickle. What pleases one person may offend another. One group might admire your confidence, while another might perceive it as arrogance. The reality is, no matter how virtuous or kind you are, there will always be someone who disagrees with you, misunderstands you, or dislikes you. Consider the great figures in history: philosophers, scientists, artists, and leaders. People like Socrates, Galileo, or even more modern icons like Mahatma Gandhi faced criticism, ridicule, and outright hostility. Socrates was condemned to death for questioning societal norms. Galileo was imprisoned for challenging the Church's view of the universe. Were they wrong? No. But their courage to stand by their principles came at a cost, because they refused to live for the approval of others. The Stoic mindset teaches us to accept this as an inevitable part of life. Marcus Aurelius said, "Whatever anyone does or says, I must be emerald and keep my color." This means that no matter what others think or say, you should remain true to yourself, steadfast, unshaken, and authentic. Your value is not determined by how many people like you. It's determined by your character and your adherence to your principles. Here's the paradox. When you stop trying to please everyone, you become more likable to the right people. By focusing on living authentically, you attract those who resonate with your values and repel those who don't. And that's okay. The people who truly matter are those who accept you for who you are, not who you pretend to be. Practical application. 1. Set boundaries. Recognize your limits and stop overextending yourself to gain approval. If you're saying yes to everyone, you're likely saying no to your own needs. 2. Reflect on your values. Ask yourself, who am I trying to please and why? If the answer doesn't align with your principles, let it go. 3. Embrace discomfort. Accept that some people will dislike you no matter what you do. Instead of fearing this, embrace it as a sign that you're living authentically. By letting go of the need to please everyone, you free yourself from the chains of external validation. You'll gain something far more valuable: inner peace and the ability to live a life true to yourself. The freedom of not caring. One of the greatest gifts Stoicism offers is the freedom to detach from the opinions of others. This isn't about indifference in a cold or apathetic way, but about recognizing that you alone hold the power to determine your worth. By learning to stop caring about others' judgments, you free yourself from an endless cycle of approval-seeking and anxiety. At the core of Stoic philosophy is the concept of apatheia, a state of being free from harmful emotions, especially those stirred up by external events or people's opinions. The Stoics believed that emotional freedom comes when we no longer let things outside of ourselves dictate our mood or sense of value. Instead, we focus on what is within our control: our actions, thoughts, and responses. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The moment you accept that the opinions of others are not a reflection of who you are, but merely their perception of you, you begin to see just how liberating it is to not care. This freedom allows you to pursue your goals, express yourself, and live according to your values without constantly worrying about approval. Let's explore a practical example. Imagine you've been working on a project that's meaningful to you. You pour your heart into it, but some people criticize your work. In the past, this might have discouraged you, leaving you questioning your abilities. But with the Stoic mindset, you realize that their criticism is simply their opinion, based on their own perspective. It doesn't change the value of your work. In fact, when you stop caring about the approval of others, you start to feel empowered. You become less anxious, more confident, and more focused on what truly matters. You begin to create for yourself, not for others. You express your ideas because they are yours, not because you seek validation. The more you embrace this mindset, the more you tap into your true potential. Why this freedom is so powerful. 1. Peace of mind. When you stop caring about external validation, your mind becomes calmer. You're no longer chasing after the next compliment, approval, or like. This frees up your mental energy to focus on things that truly matter: your personal growth, your passions, and your relationships. 2. Authentic relationships. People are drawn to authenticity. When you stop pretending to be someone you're not just to gain approval, you attract relationships that are deeper and more meaningful. You connect with people who appreciate you for who you are, not who you're trying to be. 3. Resilience in the face of criticism. When criticism comes your way, it doesn't shake you. You recognize that everyone is entitled to their opinion, but those opinions don't define you. As Epictetus said, "If someone is able to see through you, let them see you clearly." This perspective gives you the resilience to handle negative feedback without internalizing it. Practical application 1. Mindful reflection. Take a moment to reflect on the last time you cared too much about what others thought. Ask yourself, how did that serve me? Was it worth the stress? Chances are, it wasn't. 2. Focus on what you can control. Shift your attention to what you can influence: your own actions, values, and goals. You can't control others, but you can control your response to their opinions. 3. Celebrate your progress. Take pride in the fact that you're no longer allowing others to dictate your worth. Every step you take toward independence from external validation is a victory. The more you embrace the freedom of not caring about others' opinions, the more empowered you become. It's a choice, and once you make it, you reclaim control over your own life. You stop living in the shadow of others' expectations and start living for yourself. And that, in itself, is the essence of Stoic freedom. How to practice Stoic detachment. Now that we understand the freedom that comes from not caring about others' opinions, it's time to dive into the practical steps you can take to practice Stoic detachment in your daily life. This process requires intentionality and mindfulness, but the results are well worth the effort. By consistently applying these principles, you can gradually free yourself from the burden of external validation and cultivate a deeper sense of inner peace. 1. Acknowledge what you can control. The first step in practicing Stoic detachment is recognizing what is within your control. Stoics like Epictetus taught that we can control only our actions, thoughts, and responses. Everything else, including other people's opinions, is outside our control. For example, let's say you give a presentation at work, and some people criticize your performance. The criticism may sting, but remind yourself, you can control how you prepare, how you respond to feedback, and how you learn from the experience. But you cannot control how others perceive you. Once you accept this, the emotional weight of others' opinions begins to lift. To practice this, start by taking a moment before reacting to any situation that causes you to feel judged. Ask yourself, can I control this? If the answer is no, then release your attachment to the outcome and focus on what you can control, your thoughts and actions. 2. Embrace the dichotomy of control. The dichotomy of control, a central concept in Stoicism, helps you understand that while you cannot control external circumstances or other people's reactions, you can control your responses to those things. This mindset shift allows you to remain steady, even when faced with judgment. For instance, if someone criticizes your appearance or your choices, Remind yourself that their opinion is rooted in their own perceptions, not in objective truth. You may not be able to change how they view you, but you can control whether you let that affect your sense of self-worth. The more you practice this, the less power other people's opinions will have over you. 3. Practice negative visualization. A technique the Stoics often use to build resilience and detachment is negative visualization. This involves imagining the worst-case scenario, not to make you anxious, but to help you realize that even if things don't go as you wish, you can still maintain your composure and integrity. For example, think about a situation where you might face harsh judgment, such as posting a vulnerable opinion online or speaking up at a meeting. Imagine the worst possible reaction: people criticizing you, mocking your words, or ignoring you entirely. After visualizing this, ask yourself, would I still be okay? The Stoics would encourage you to reflect on your ability to remain calm and unaffected, regardless of how others respond. This exercise helps you detach from the fear of others' judgment and strengthens your resilience. When you are not afraid of the worst-case scenario, you stop seeking validation and start living for yourself. 4. Reflect on your own values and principles. A powerful way to practice Stoic detachment is by continuously checking in with your own values and principles. The Stoics believed that our inner peace comes from aligning our actions with our values, not from external approval. If you live in accordance with your own ethical compass, the opinions of others hold far less significance. Take time each day to reflect on what truly matters to you. What values do you want to live by? What kind of person do you strive to be? When you have clarity on your values, you will find it easier to detach from external judgment, because you will measure your worth based on your actions, not others' approval. 5. Practice self-compassion. Lastly, practicing Stoic detachment involves showing yourself compassion. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. Rather, it's about accepting and managing your emotions in a healthy way. If you experience hurt or frustration from others' opinions, acknowledge those feelings without judgment. Recognize that it's human to feel vulnerable or upset when criticized. The key is not to let those emotions dictate your self-worth. By practicing self-compassion, you can allow yourself to feel the pain without letting it control you. Remind yourself that you are enough as you are, regardless of what others think or say. 6. Use the mirror technique. One final Stoic practice is the mirror technique, where you reflect on yourself through the lens of your highest values. When faced with criticism or judgment, ask yourself, what would my best self do in this situation? Picture yourself acting in alignment with your core principles, calm, composed, and unapologetically true to yourself. Over time, this practice helps you detach from external opinions and anchor yourself in your own integrity. By incorporating these Stoic techniques into your life, you gradually build the mental discipline needed to detach from the opinions of others. You stop seeking approval and start living authentically. In doing so, you cultivate inner strength, resilience, and peace. Over time, the opinions of others will have less and less impact on you, and you'll find yourself living a more liberated, fulfilling life. The power of self-awareness in detachment. Self-awareness helps us recognize when external opinions are affecting us and allows us to detach from them. By reflecting on our thoughts and emotions, we gain control over our responses, focusing on what truly matters. When we understand our values and motivations, we stop seeking validation from others and rely on our own judgment. Self-awareness creates the emotional distance needed to remain grounded, making us less reactive to criticism or praise and more aligned with our true selves. Embracing the freedom of self-approval. A key aspect of Stoicism is the idea of self-approval. This means finding contentment and validation within yourself, rather than relying on others' opinions. The Stoics believed that external validation is fleeting and unreliable, whereas self-approval is something we can control and cultivate from within. By focusing on living according to our own values and not seeking constant approval from others, we achieve a sense of inner freedom. Self-approval comes from aligning our actions with our principles, not with the desire to meet others' expectations. When we know that we are acting with integrity, we no longer need external validation to feel fulfilled. This freedom allows us to be at peace, regardless of what others think or say. For example, if you make a decision that aligns with your core values, whether it's pursuing a passion, speaking your truth, or standing up for something you believe in, your sense of approval should come from within. If others approve, that's a bonus, but not necessary for your sense of self-worth. This Stoic practice of self-approval helps you detach from the anxiety of judgment, and instead empowers you to live authentically and confidently. By cultivating this inner validation, we free ourselves from the constant need for external approval, achieving true peace and freedom, focusing on what you can control. A fundamental Stoic practice is to focus on what is within our control and let go of what isn't. Others' opinions and judgments fall outside our control, so we should not let them disturb our peace of mind. Instead, we should direct our energy toward controlling our thoughts, actions, and responses. By accepting that we can't control how others perceive us, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and empower ourselves to live in accordance with our values. This focus on what we can control enables us to maintain inner peace, no matter what others think.